Hey y'all, it's Laura. Welcome back to a Cocoa Vanilla Design Team video. This one is using the new Heart and Home collection, and it is so pretty. I could not wait to dive in. I have spent quite a lot of time fussy cutting for this collection because there is so many beautiful florals and cut aparts and all of the pretty things to cut out and play with. There's so many built-in embellishments in these patterned papers. So I decided to start with the cut apart and this beautiful background of a wood grain, and I'm going to create two shelves on this layout. Shelf layouts are a design that I really enjoy playing with, and I have a few more examples of it on my YouTube channel if you'd like to check that out. It'll be linked in the description box below. Now, this particular layout, we're going to be doing two shelves, and I'll have my photos up on the top shelf, and then I will have some embellishments and my title on the bottom shelf. So it just kind of creates a visual interest of these two shelves without having to go crazy wild with 6 shelves or 12 shelves. So it can be a simple shelf design. And I really like the idea of going simple and then having a lot of detail on those two simple shelves. The photos that we are scrapping today are of this cute little squirrel that lived outside of the English building in the college campus that I attended last year, finishing up my degree. And this little squirrel would run out almost every time I walked by and just stare at me and then run away. And it was such a, just like a little bit of a giggle, something that, you know, would brighten my day when I'm walking around campus and thinking about all of the homework I have to do, thinking about all of the driving I have to do because I was a commuter, and all of those things to keep in mind, kind of stressing a little bit. And then this little furry munchkin come flying out of the bushes and would just absolutely stare at me and disappear. And just that kind of quirky little moment was something that I actually look forward to. Walking around campus is coming across the wildlife, but this little squirrel in particular just cracked me up. Every single time I was just chuckling at him. I just thought it was so funny. And so I decided one day to grab a picture of him, got a couple of shots, and decided, you know what, I'm going to add him to my album. So I am creating a album that is devoted entirely to this last year going to college. I am 38, and going back to school in my late 30s was definitely a very interesting experience. It was something that I think I needed to do for myself to finish my degree, but I also think it was an interesting comparison to how college was for me when I was in my 20s. And I think that I was much more focused as a student in my late 30s than I was as a young 20-something. And it was very interesting to see how my note-taking methods have changed, how all of my processes for handling homework and staying organized and all of those things have changed on top of, you know, running a household and raising kids. So it was very challenging, but also eye-opening to some of the things that I can accomplish that maybe I've felt for a long time that I couldn't, that I didn't think I could handle it, I didn't think I could do it. And with the change in life, you know, the change in how things work in the world, I was really interested to see how that would go, and it went really well. So that was very empowering for me, if nothing else, to finish my degree and to know that I am capable of that and that it's done. There is a lot of satisfaction in finishing your degree. And for me, that was something I really needed at that time. I really needed that little boost of confidence. And this little guy helped brighten those days and make that a little bit easier. So he deserved a full page in my scrapbook, my college scrapbook. So this beautiful Heart and Home collection is the newest one from Cocoa Vanilla, and it is very soft with pastels, but it also has some beautiful florals. It has a very home theme to it. I think you could use it for autumn or for fall, and I don't know if this necessarily falls into, I guess it would be autumn. I think this was around November of last year. So for us in the United States, that would have been autumn, and it definitely works perfectly for those sorts of photos. So typically when you see a lot of autumn collections, they have the bold yellow and the bold red and the bold greens. And I love the fact that this is kind of a softer take on that theme, because most of my photos don't have those big bold colors of leaves. Where I live in the United States, our leaves don't change a whole lot usually, and so we don't really get a lot of that big punch of color like they do in northern parts of the United States. And so these kind of muted, softer colors are perfect for my photos, because here in Mississippi, it, instead of becoming bold and bright and colorful, it tends to become a little muddy. We get a lot of rain. And so it's more of like that rainy time, which I love rain too, because sitting at home and listening to the rain, reading a book, scrapbooking, like I love that time too. And so I really think that this kind of matches that vibe a little bit better than the bold colors changing of the leaves outside. So this feels more like an inside autumn rather than an outside autumn to me. And I really love the mix of embellishments in this one. I like there's a couple of little houses, because I do like little houses, but quite often there'll be collections that have little houses and it's a ton of them. And I never know how to use all of them because there's so many, and then I get a little overwhelmed and they just kind of sit in the collection until I figure it out. But this one was great because it has just these two cute little houses in the ephemera pack, which was just a nice amount of houses. I was just very impressed with Zoe's ability to go, nope, 2 houses was plenty. And I absolutely love that, because houses just aren't a thing that I normally scrap with very often. And having just a couple was nice. It was a nice little shift without committing to a whole pack of houses, if you know what I mean. I love fussy cutting the pattern papers in Zoe's collections though, because there's always some beautiful florals. There's lovely little icons like hearts and stars that are super easy to use. And I just find Coco Vanilla's products so much easier to use because of that reason, because she keeps the themes fairly open and they're generic enough that you can use them for a big variety of photos, like these photos of a cute little squirrel. Now, while I was putting this one together, I came across these teeny tiny little florals that I had fussy cut from the pattern papers as well, and I decided to create a falling leaf effect with florals. I think I did add a couple of leaves in there too, but I also had several tiny little florals and just had them falling along that left side from the top floral cluster to the bottom floral cluster, and I really liked that. I think it was a fun little detail that doesn't add a ton to the layout, but it does add something. It's a little bit of movement on the page. All of these nice rounded florals kind of soften the linear design in the background, and I love how that came out. Now, in just a moment, I will cut to where I have it all taped and glued down, because I do a lot of that off camera, adhering, etc. off camera, but I do love how this particular layout just feels kind of floaty. The photos are just kind of hanging out on that strip up the top. You got floating leaves and florals falling down the left side. It just has such a soft and lovely feel to it that I really like how this one turned out. And I think it fit this soft, fluffy little creature that I am scrapbooking about. It just seemed to fit perfectly. So here is the layout all taped and glued down. I'm finishing up with my last little bit of detail work, scattering and splattering. I come in with these little puffy stickers to do some scattering, adding some of the little circles inside of the big florals, adding some of the little hearts to the house and around one of the clusters, and then I will come in with my splattering in 2 phases. I do a controlled splatter with Nuvo drops and then an uncontrolled splatter with gold ink spray. And I have to tell you that anytime I use a background that is a little darker like this one, that gold ink spray pops so beautifully, and I love the way that splatter looks on a dark background. So that will be coming up very soon. I really enjoy how this one turned out, and it was so much fun to figure out how to puzzle all of those florals and that little house in together, and it came together rather quickly. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Be sure to check out the blog at cocovanilla.com.au, and until next time, bye y'all.